Definitely the pride of the nation, the Springboks. And for a more in-depth look at the year that was for the world champions, we are now joined by sports journalist Athenkosi Tsotsi, who covers rugby extensively, and he'll help us take a closer look at the year that was. Good evening, Ati, from us on SABC News, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Tabiso and the viewers. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff. What would you say the theme was for this year, considering that it's the start of a new World Cup cycle for the Boks?
I think, considering it was the start of the new cycle leading up to the 2027 World Cup, the main plan was to integrate new players. There were a lot of moving puzzles. Again, you're looking in terms of the change, the team just evolving, bringing a new style of play, and then you also go about now just checking if you want to maintain, that winning record, without compromising that with all these moving puzzles. Again, with the integration of new players to the system, the new style of play, while you also still maintain that winning, getting those results. So that was the theme for the Springboks this year. And you can say, looking at it right now, they've won 11 out of 13 games, and there's been new players into the system, and the players are also grasping what the coaching staff are trying to implement leading up to that 2027 World Cup. You can say it's been a successful all-round year for the Springboks.
You mentioned the new style of play. There's been a lot of talk about how they want to evolve the Boks, especially since the arrival of the New Zealander Tony Brown. What notable changes have you seen?
You're looking at how the team is more dynamic right now, right? Obviously, when Tony Brown came in, they didn't want to change the Springboks into playing like the All Blacks or implement the style of play he had when he was the Japan coaching attack coach in 2019, whereby the Japanese were playing some of the best attacking rugby during that time. He just came in and saw what the Springboks team has, stick to their strengths, the physicality of the players, and work with that. You see how the players, the big forwards now are quite dominant in the gain line, the meters they are making, how the combinations between the forwards and the backs, it's no longer just a concentrated kicking game. We know the Springboks have a solid kicking game that's built around also, again, the set pieces and stuff. So he's tried to work around those big forwards. Now you see the likes of Siya Kolisi and Pieter-Steph Du Toit at the flanks. They are found by the sides there, whereby they are working around, with the ball. And you can see a lot of attacking guys, such as the midfielders, Jesse Krill and Damien Dialendi. They're quite important right now. So you've seen that expensive style that the Springboks are playing, and everyone is just taking heart to it, because it's a breath of fresh air for them. Everyone has to have those ball skills, the likes of Oxenchair, he's a good scrummager, but that suddenly now we've seen how he's quite impactful with the ball in hand. So it's those kind of things whereby you've seen that he hasn't tried to take away from what the Springboks have done well. We know the Springboks have a strong scrum, the line-out is good with the maul, effective at the breakdown, and also a solid defense. And going forward right now, we saw last year with Felix Jones and Manny Lipock with those kicks, they did try to just be more ambitious in attack, and Manny Lipock was backed because of the flair player he is with those kicks. So if you remember the France quarterfinal, that's where you saw the Springboks attacking. So now when Felix left, the next best guy who was there, it was Tony Brown, and it's quite exciting. He has we have the players that fit the bill around what Tony Brown is trying to do. You look at the Sasha Fine-Bengomezulu there at fly half, Manny Lipock, Andre Pollard. So it's quite exciting in terms of this is the final product. We'll probably see it at the 2027 World Cup, but then for Tony Brown to come in and say, listen, there's still potential that's untapped. You're looking at a team that's won 2 World Cups, 2 rugby championships, a British and Irish Lions series, and you're coming in and saying, listen, I can improve them and get them better. It's quite exciting for South African rugby.
And even more exciting that they're able to do all of this and implement these new ideas and still win matches. But you've mentioned that they're trying to create depth. There were about 50 players used in the season. Which one of the newcomers have stood out for you and that have staked a claim for themselves going forward?
You're looking at the newcomers right now. You must understand this year is so important for the Springboks. If you remember when they won the World Cup in 2019, going to 2020, there was the COVID-19 pandemic, and which completely took away a year from them. So they didn't allow them to build any depth or put any succession measures in place. Looking ahead right now to 2027, the core of the team, many of them will be around 37, 36, 35, around those age, those mid-30s, heading to those 40s. So you have to bring in new players right now. And you can see guys have stepped up. Just to start off again with Oxenche stepping up from making that loose prop his position. See guys like Apelele Fase coming in to the Springbok fold, after he was out in the wilderness, after he didn't work out initially. Now he's come in and he's staked his claim with that number 15 jersey, and then you suddenly looking around, there's a Damien Willems who didn't play the whole year, for the Springboks, and it's just looking healthy. And you're looking at guys like Gerard Stenekamp again, being the understudy of Oxenche, continuing the good form he showed at the Bulls. And another notable mention will have to be Ruan Nortje, the Bulls captain the lock. When the Springboks were having a lock crisis, he was at home, he wasn't in the initial squad, but then when he called up, and he suddenly made the Springboks line out strong again, because he was just commanding when he was calling. So it's those sort of guys who came through. And again, there's been a lot of guys who have been given caps. You're looking at the game that against Wales during the outside the international window. A lot of guys got opportunities to get their caps. Talking about Pips Buthelezi, Ben Jason Dixon, the Andre Hugo Fenders of this world against Portugal. There are a lot of guys who got caps, but then the most important thing was that they were in and around the Springboks environment, whereby they can feel and see how things are done, which will do them good going forward, that adjusting period.
And just finally then, how, after everything that you've said, Athenkosi, how did Rassie Erasmus not win Coach of the Year? Do you understand that?
That's quite a difficult one to answer. But then because, again, Rassie did have a very good year as a coach, taking over the reins again from after Jack Ninaba left. It's an award. I don't think Rassie will have he would have set his heart out to win that award, but then he will look at the year and say that, okay, I brought in two coaches, the defense coach, Jerry, and also the attack coach Tony Brown, and things worked out well. We won 11 out of 13 tests, right? You're looking at players right now that there's a succession plan that's in place, and it's looking good. Again, it's quite complicated. It's quite political when it comes to Rassie and World Rugby. That's for people to have their own views. But then for me, he deserved to win the award. I think he had a more settled team looking at around international rugby. Does winning, I think, an Olympic gold medal put you up there? I don't think so, because if you're looking at France, how they performed in the 7th circuit, it wasn't quite impressive. So, but then they managed to win the gold at the Olympics. But then, for me, Rassie deserved to win the award.
Yeah. Okay, Athenkosi, wonderful wrap of 2024. Looking forward to an even better and bigger year for the Springboks in 2025. Enjoy the last few days of 2024, and we'll catch up in the new year.
Thanks, Taviso. Thanks to your listeners, to your viewers. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you can tell it's his first time on TV. Athenkosi Tsotsi joining us there, sports journalist, also with the Citizen newspaper there, looking back at the year that was for the Springboks.